Okay, I think I am live. Just 1 second. Want to make sure everything is still fine. Okay, but now it says good health, excellent health. It's kind of funny because when I started this stream, for some reason it was kind of showing. I don't know, that there was some, I guess, not connectivity issue, but something with the I don't know, something with the bit rate. I don't know what it is. So I was like, huh, that's interesting because I never really did see that. But anyway, forget about that. Hello everyone, Nintendo Nuts back once again. Today we are going to be doing something a little bit, well, it's another abnormal psychology, obviously, topic. This is kind of like from last week's, because obviously I didn't do any live streams last week because of testing all that stuff. Hey, Peril. Hopefully, you're having a good day, my friend. Thank you for joining the stream. I do appreciate it. So yeah, so today we are going to be doing. This is kind of like a discussion topic where I kind of talk about what I'm learning throughout this semester in abnormal psychology, and today. I'm going to be talking about eating disorders. And like I was trying to mention, this one was actually last week's topic, was supposed to be last week's topic, but since I had testing and, studying for the test I did on Monday, I was not able to do it, unfortunately. But anyway, so this is kind of like a catch-up in a way. And I know some of you may want, more gaming streams, and I do, understand that. Don't worry. I already have some planned. Actually, I might do a gaming stream tomorrow, maybe. If not, probably Friday the latest. But definitely on Friday, it's gonna be a fun one. You definitely may want to check that out when I do it. Because if you follow the, like I think I mentioned yesterday, if you follow the gaming releases, Friday is gonna be a pretty big one. So it's gonna be pretty fun. But yeah, so today it's gonna just be another discussion type of thing. And yeah, so it's gonna be, I guess, another easy stream, nothing too major or anything like that. But yeah, so today it's gonna be about eating disorders. Now, as you can tell from for those of you who've watched the previous abnormal psychology videos, it's been kind of easy. It's been the first topic was anxiety. The second one was stress disorders, and obviously those were kind of just probably the most common and probably like the most, I guess you can say, easiest ones. And the reason why I say that is because it just kind of deals with your mental health. However, from like this point and on, it's starting to get a little bit more serious. From what you can probably guess, eating disorders. Well, not only does it play a fact in your mental health, but also plays a fact in in actual your physical health. For example, those people who don't eat that much or people who eat too much. Well, obviously there can be some really bad negative effects, from not eating or from those eating variants. But yeah, so that is something that we're gonna look into today, and I look forward to talking with that, y'all. So I want to do something a little bit different today, and I'm not too sure what I was gonna say. I'm not too sure if this. I'll probably do this every week, but I kind of wanted to actually talk about, well, not talk about, but kind of like read like the intro. Well, not an intro. It's more like a. I don't want to say it's a. I don't know what it's called. Case studies, because basically what a case study is, it kind of talks about like a patient, and kind of tells you like what they're going through and all that stuff. And I apologize if I'm looking directly at the cameras because I'm looking at my computer screen real quick. But yeah, basically what I want to do at least this week, and maybe from the future from now on, I want to start reading like the mini, like, I guess, openers to my textbook that I have. And while yes, I do have the physical over here, I actually do have like a I guess a electronic version of it, or an ebook. So I'm gonna try and read it off from here instead. Um, but yeah, and the reason why I kind of want to read like this little intro, case study, it's because it really does, and especially this one, it kind of does actually put you in the, I guess, the thoughts of what a person with a condition does have, and it really does kind of like is an eye opener, in terms of like what do they, what do they, what they're going through while they're having this disorder. So I'm just gonna start off by reading that. And yeah, so yeah, let me just read this, and hopefully it kind of gives you all like an idea as to what people go through, actually, through the mental health state when they go through that. So I'm just gonna read, I guess, quote to quote. So this is a person whose name is Shiny, and she's 15 years old. While I was learning to resist the temptation of hunger, I walked into the kitchen when no one was around, took a slice of bread out the pocket, toasted it, spread butter on it, took a deep breath and bit. Guilty, I spat it in the trash and tossed the rest of it and walked away. Seconds later, I longed for the toast, walked back to the trash, popped open the lid, and sifted around the debris. I found it and contemplated for minutes whether to eat it. I brought it close to my nose and inhaled the smell of melted butter. Guilty for trashing it, guilty for craving it, guilty for tasting it. I threw it back in the trash and walked away. No is no, I told myself. No is no. And no matter how hard I would try to always have the perfect day in terms of my food, I would feel the guilt every second of every day. It reeked of shame, seeped with disgust, and festered in disgrace. It was my desire to escape the guilt that perpetuated my compulsion to starve. In time, I formulated a more precise list of can and can't in my head that dictated what was allowed or forbidden to consume. It became my way of life, my manual, my blueprint. But more than that, it gave me false reassurance that my life was under control. I was managing everything because I had this list in front of me telling me what and what not to do. In the beginning, starving was hard work. It was not innate. Day by day, I was slowly lured into another world, a world that wasn't as isolating as it was intriguing and as rewarding as it was challenging. That summer, despite the fact that I had lost a lot of weight, my mother agreed to let me go to summer camp with my 15-year-old peers after I swore to her that I would eat. I broke that promise as soon as I got there. At breakfast time, when all the teens raced into the dining hall to grab cereal boxes and bread loaves and jelly tins and peanut butter jars, I sat alone, cocooned in my fear. I fingered the plastic pocket of a loaf of white sliced bread, took out a piece and tore off a corner like I was marking a page in a book, onto which I dabbed a blob of peanut butter and jelly the size of a Q-tip. That was my breakfast every day for 3 weeks. I tried to get to the showers when everyone else was at the beach so nobody would see me. I heard girls behind me whispering, "That's the girl I told you about that looks so disgusting." Someone inadvertently walked in on me showering and covered her mouth with her hand like I was a dead body. I wish I could disappear into the drain like my hair that was falling out in chunks. While everyone else was out there swimming, tanning, making out, playing sports, volunteering in team building, I hid in my tent and wrote letters to my mother reassuring her that I was eating. I told her that I ate peanut butter and jelly sandwiches every morning for breakfast. Upon returning to school, I was labeled the concentration camp victim. On my return, over the months, everyone watched my body shrink, as though it were being vacuum packed in slow motion. At my lowest weight, my hip bones protruded like knuckle bones under my dress, and I had to minimize the increments of the belt holes until there was so much extra belt material dangling down that I did away with the belt completely. My shoes were too big for my feet. My ankles were so thin that I wore 3 pairs of socks at a time, and still my shoes would slide off my heels. And my panties were so boggy, I secured them with safety pins on the sides so they wouldn't fall down. On the home front, things were worse than ever. I moved to the downstairs room, which had a separate entrance and bathroom, and I locked my door and forbade anyone from entering. Even so, my mother and I had screaming matches every day, with her dying to convince me that your body needs food as fuel, and me retaliating with "I'm not hungry." But the more she tried to appeal in my rational side, the more stubborn I became in my conviction. For 9 months, my mother stood by, forbidden to interfere while I starved myself. She had no idea what was going on, nor did I. All she knew was that I had changed. She watched me transform from an innocent, soft, kind, loving girl into a reclusive, vicious, aggressive, defiant teenager. She had lost her little girl, and there was nothing that could say or do to stop me. She knew that if my weight continued to drop radically, that she might lose me. But despite all her desperate attempts to reach out to me, she had no way of getting through to me, let alone helping me because, like with food, I slowly banned her from my life. And then, end of story right there. So, as you can see, it really is like a dark, kind of a dark disorder. Now I'm not saying like the past ones was, I guess, not serious or not, dark, but, as you can, it gives me like, I guess you can say it gives me like the chills a little bit because, and I'll take off my ebook though for a second. It gives me chills because, you don't expect, like how people react. I mean, sure, you can, I guess, understand them, but you don't really know what they're feeling in their mind. And I guess it goes with any mental health disorder, everyone, that, you really can't say that, you've been in those shoes unless you've actually experienced it yourself, because it really can play a toll in everyone's, mind or body. And I apologize, I just need to check something, everyone. Okay, no, nothing important. I apologize. So yeah, so that is, something that it really is, and that's what I kind of like about those case studies, because it really does open up your mind, or open up the mind as to like, what people are really, going through when they're going through these type of mental health disorders. And, whenever, you see that, it kind of, I mean, again, it just gives me the chills, and it's like, oh boy, how can anyone, go through that? But, unfortunately, people do go through that. So now, anyway, now, well, before I continue, I need to take a quick break. I'll be right back. Just hold on, everyone. Okay, I think I am back. Okay. Sorry everyone, I had to get some food real quick. So I haven't had lunch yet, so if I do like eat something, I do apologize. Um anyway. So yeah, if I eat anything throughout the stream, it's because of that. I'm just having lunch barely, but anyway. So yeah, so going back to real quick on Shiny from the story earlier. Yeah, so that is why I'm kind of like, I guess, we're interested in, seeing like those kind of stories or case studies. And that's because, again, it puts you in the mind of how someone is going through, that disorder. And, when you see that, it brings, it really is an eye opener, because, I mean, we can only say, yes, we understand, but, people who have not gone through it, they really don't understand until they're in their shoes. I mean, I guess people who say who go through depression, I mean, well, basically any kind of mental health disorder, but I mean, yeah, that's kind of why I like that, and that's kind of why I show it with y'all, because that was actually the first one that I've noticed that really did put, you in the shoes of someone going through that disorder. And I mean, hopefully that kind of give you like a good eye opener in terms of like, what people can see. But anyway, so to kind of continue, so eating disorders. So eating disorders can, it kind of goes into three categories. Whoop, I thought I had something. So one is called anorexia nervosa, and oh, I'm sorry, no, I'm not gonna go into detail yet. They go in three types: anorexia nervosa, bulimia nervosa, and binge eating disorder. So yeah, those are the main three types of eating disorders. However, I mean, we're gonna obviously just go through them as we go along. But anyway, so anorexia nervosa. Anorexia nervosa is basically a disorder where it's a disorder where they always people have fears of becoming overweight when in reality they are not. In fact, they are usually well under their healthy weight limits, and excuse me, and to them they just need to keep and it's always on the mind. They always worry about that they're overweight, that they're fat, that they're that they need to lose weight, but in reality they are so under thin that they can't really they really can't control themselves, and that's where it comes into place. And I apologize. Eating lunch again, sorry. But yeah, so people who have anorexia nervosa, and I'm kind of reading off the screen here, not that way I won't have to like look completely down at y'all. Basically, the one way they kind of do it is by restricting the amount of food that they take, which is a pattern that's actually called restricting type anorexia nervosa. And for them they kind of like try to limit, like, for example, sweets like cookies, candy, chips, any of that unhealthy stuff. But then they kind of go into bigger things like the chicken, probably even, yeah, it goes into extreme, like avoiding chicken, avoiding meat, avoiding dairy even. And I mean, yeah, just like what Shani from the story earlier, all they eat is just like, well, I mean, I guess take this as an example, like they eat this much, but well, unfortunately this thing does have cheese in it, but I mean, cut off the cheese, cut off the thing, they may only eat like this little piece for the whole, maybe even the whole day, and that's it. So they do tend to really be unfortunate, where they starve themselves, and still like that they still constantly think about their them being overweight, and which in reality they really are not. Um, Now another way they kind of lose weight is which it kind of goes into, I guess, bulimia, but it still kind of goes also into anorexia because they do want to lose weight. Um, it's by actually forcing them to basically expel of what they eat. So, for example, if let's say you had a big meal, but then the person was um, bulimia or purging type anorexia nervosa is what it's called. They either use laxatives, they vomit, literally, like I guess they, I mean I don't know even know how you do it. I guess they put they shove the finger down the throat, just so that way the contents can come out of the system. Which again, don't mean to be too specific, but I mean it is the truth of people with eating disorders. Um, and I mean, yeah, that is one way that they actually take it out, and it's really not healthy in themselves because they're kind of taking away the nutrients that they need in order to have weight and be healthy. So generally, anorexia nervosa does happen to be more in females, and again, if you look at it this way, it is understandable because most of the time, obviously, especially during the teenage years and I guess even early adulthood, females, want to become, thin. They want to, become, they feel like they are not perfect for who they are, which, I mean, obviously, in my opinion, everyone is perfect for who they are. They don't really need to change themselves to be someone that they're not. Um, but anyway, I mean, yeah, like I mentioned, it can happen between, I guess the average is between 14 and 20 years old, so yeah, it is common for that to happen. Um, so, uh, so I'm gonna skip, okay, so basically clinical picture, no, I don't need that. No, I'm gonna skip all this because it's not really much. I mean, I just want to talk about like the general stuff with you all. Yeah, because I really don't want to talk about. Okay, so one thing that can happen with anorexia nervosa is other health problems. And the reason why other medical problems can happen from anorexia nervosa is because of the nutrients they are not taking in. Um, for example, sorry. Normally I don't eat during this, but um, anyway. So another kind of medical problem is, I mean, basically people who have anorexia nervosa can develop medical problems, and that is, called, for example, women can develop amenorrhea, which is basically, the not having menstrual periods, that they usually get every month, actually becomes absent. For people with anorexia nervosa. And other stuff can be like low blood pressure, low metabolism, lower body temperature, lower heartbeats, and all that because it can be from lack of nutrients, and from eventually from all that a person can you know die. Literally, they can because again they really are just like deteriorating themselves in a way that they can't control it. Um, and I mean, it really is, sad because I mean, this kind of conditions, it is a little bit, like I said, it is a little bit more serious because it not only affects our mental health but the physical health as well. Um, but anyways, I mean, that's some other medical conditions that can arise from anorexia nervosa. Um, but something to I guess look about, to think about when people are going through it. Um, and now to kind of move on. I think next is I believe it is yes, bulimia nervosa. So people with bulimia nervosa is basically it's called binge purge syndrome. Now, this one's a little bit different, and I personally still don't know how it can, I guess, happen, or like how people can actually, I guess, overstuff themselves. But I mean, I guess they develop that habit. Um, Basically, bulimia nervosa is where a person consumes a large amount of food within a short period of time, and then they just immediately take it all out through purging, you know. And it really is. No, that's actually, in my opinion, it's a little bit more, I guess, serious. Well, not serious, but like more, I guess, severe on what they're doing. But again, I guess the effects aren't really as bad. Well, no, I don't want to say that either. The effects aren't, you know, I guess, as noticeable as, you know, anorexia nervosa over time. And I don't know why this page keeps opening up. Let me try this. There we go. No. I'm trying to like minimize the page, but for some reason it keeps opening up. Yeah, hold on. I think I might have to actually close it down. Let me try this. And no, it's not responding. Okay, let me try that. There you go. I'll fix that right now, don't worry. Okay, I think I got it. So yeah, so basically people with bulimia nervosa, they eat a lot of food. Like for example, for me, I know I'm having lunch, you know, inadvertently, you know, well, obviously, you know, doing the stream and having lunch. Like I was saying, yeah, people who have, you know, anorexia nervosa, bulimia nervosa, they eat a large amount of food. For an example, I think from one of the like videos I saw about this disorder, a person had like 2 pints of ice creams, a whole pizza. I think they had some wine, some I think a cake, some cookies or a cake, if I'm not mistaken. And I'm not sure what else was that. But I mean, okay, I mean, but I mean that's an example. To have in one meal, I can't even finish, you know, full. Well, like I can't even finish half a pizza myself. I can't do that. At least not in one time. For me, well, side note, for me personally, when I eat pizza, I eat like some of it and then I save for like dinner and all that stuff. But I personally can't eat like not even half in one sitting. But anyway, so yeah, so people who have, you know, bulimia nervosa, they eat all that food and then they kind of regurgitate it out by laxatives, or you know, vomiting themselves, like I mentioned, and you know, it's really not bad, you know. I mean, it's really bad and it's not good, you know. And some even exercise, you know, hard, you know, just to lose off that weight and all that stuff. I mean, I guess I can. Well, no, I don't. I'm trying to see if I should read this to you or not. Well, actually, I guess I can, because it does kind of, I guess, give you an idea. So, here's like another, I guess, case study. And you know, from this, it's kind of give you an idea. Now, there's no name on this one, unfortunately, but there is, you know, it is another woman or female, who's talking about her, you know, who talks about her, you know, struggle with bulimia nervosa in a typical morning, and how like her pattern on when she does, you know, when she had it. But yeah, so I'm going to read this to y'all. Hopefully it gives you all like a better insight in terms of what it is. So basically, and okay, so today, so quote, today I'm going to be really good, and that means eating certain predetermined portions of food and not taking one more bite than I think I'm allowed. I am very careful to see that I don't take more than Doug does. I judge by his body. I can tell the tension. I can feel the tension building. I wish Doug would hurry up and leave so I can get going. As soon as he shuts the door, I try to get involved with one of the myriad of responsibilities on the list. I hate them all. I just want to crawl into a hole. I don't want to do anything. I'd rather eat. I am alone. I am nervous. I am no good. I always do everything wrong anyway. I am not in control. I can't make it through the day. I just know it. It has been the same for so long. I remember the starchy cereal I ate for breakfast. I am into the bathroom and onto the scale. It measures the same, but I don't want to stay the same. I want to be thinner. I look in the mirror. I think my thighs are ugly and deformed looking. I see a lumpy, clumsy, pear-shaped wimp. There's always something wrong with what I see. I feel frustrated, trapped in this body, and I don't know what to do about it. I float to the refrigerator knowing exactly what is there. And actually, and unquote real quick, actually I do, this is kind of like an example of what, people eat, for the eating disorders, which you'll see right now. So, quote again. I begin with last night's brownies. I always begin with the sweets. At first I tried to make it look like nothing is missing, but my appetite is huge and I resolved to make another batch of brownies. I know there was half of a bag of cookies in the bathroom thrown out the night before, and I polish them off immediately. I take some milk so my vomiting will be smoother. I like the full feeling I get after drowning a big glass. I get out 6 pieces of bread and toast one side in the boiler, turn them over, and load them with patties of butter and put them under the boiler again till they are bubbling. I take all 6 pieces on a plate to the television and go back for a bowl of cereal and a banana to have along with them. Before the last toast is finished, I am already preparing the next batch of 6 more pieces. Maybe another brownie or 5, and a couple of large bowlfuls of ice cream, yogurt, or cottage cheese. My stomach is stretched into a huge ball below my rib cage. I know I'll have to go into the bathroom soon, but I want to postpone it. I am in Neverland. I am waiting, feeling the pressure, pacing the floor in and out of the rooms. Time is passing. It is getting to be time. I wander aimlessly through each of the rooms again, tidying, making the whole house neat and put back together. I finally make the turn into the bathroom. I brace my feet, pull my hair back, and stick my finger down my throat, stroking twice, and get a huge pile of food. 3 times, 4, and another pile of food. I can see nothing come back. I can see everything coming back. I am glad to see those brownies because they are so fattening. The rhythm of the emptying is broken and my head is beginning to hurt. I stand up feeling dizzy, empty, and weak. The whole episode has taken about an hour. So, unquote. Yeah. As you can see again, it is, I'm taking out my ebook real quick again to speak with you all. As you can see, it is again another. It's really unfortunate to see to I guess know what they're going through, and it isn't fun, or it's not really good. But it's really it's really sad to see how they explain. And I mean, within a whole hour, all that took place. Imagine. I mean, I can imagine how that must feel when people go through that. I mean, sure, it gives me a better idea from reading like this stuff, but still, like, actually in there, it really must be hard for them. But I mean, that is kind of what I guess a typical morning for a person with bulimia nervosa does go through, and it goes through that every single day. Surprisingly. Now, going back to again in general, so bulimia nervosa, it kind of again occurs in females, most of the time, and again it kind of also again happens to be during adolescence to young adulthood, 14 to 20, 15 to 20. And that's for years, and it's really unfortunate. Now, I guess give you all like an example. People who have what is it, bulimia nervosa, they tend to be always in the like normal weight. Now people with another one, which I'm going to talk about in a bit, it's called binge eating disorder. They kind of tend to be more obese in the most part. And obviously for people with anorexia, they most of the time are underweight. From that, so kind of give you like a comparison between like underweight, normal weight, and then overweight, from their point of view. So basically, and I'm trying to think of what else I can say about that before I move on. I kind of want to, not really go too much on everything. Let me do this real quick. Okay. So now, people with binges. Oh yeah. So basically, if you don't know what a binge is basically the consumption of anything in a short amount of time. For example, I'm pretty sure y'all have heard of binge drinking. I guess like at parties or public events, which it's also deadly. Binges for eating disorders, they just consume a large amount of food, for that week. For that day. For example, people can have between 1 to 30 binge episodes per week at most. And they obviously kind of do it in secret because they don't want anyone to know that they are binging. And it's really, it's really sad about that. So kind of going forward to, okay, so basically, again, like what they kind of do is like after they eat, they want to, which is called compensatory, and that's why they kind of take out whatever they eat. For example, they have vomiting, and then they use laxatives, they use diuretics to kind of expel everything out from their body, because they think that from that it's going to help them lose weight, which I'm not sure if I don't think it says it does right here, but even if it does, it's still extremely unhealthy to be doing that, because you're kind of taking out that whole thing, that whole nutrients that you need, and it's not right. And you have another one, I think, here. Is this another? I'm trying to see if this is like another one I should read to y'all, or just like leave like that. No, because I think it's pretty much the same thing. I really don't need a. No, I can't. No, I think we'll skip that one, because it kind of just talks about what they ate again, and like having the like the binging experience. The purging, not purging, the compensatory. Where they typically expel the food out again. But again, that's kind of what it is. So the differences between, now the thing is with bulimia and anorexia, they actually tend to be similar, and the way you can think about it is because they both want to lose weight, and they also worried about having gaining weight in other words, and something else is that they all, and because of both disorders, they always tend to think about they always tend to think what about food, appearance, and then also people, they may even have other mental disorders like depression, for example, anxiety, and all that unfortunate stuff. And surprisingly, with either of the disorders, they are at a high risk for suicide. And the book really doesn't go into too detail on why it can happen. Maybe it'll go in maybe like the later chapter that I will be reading on. However, yeah, I'm not sure. Probably because since they are still unhappy with their appearance, I would say, and for them not feeling good, they probably just take it out. Unfortunately, they just take themselves out of the picture, basically. And it's not, and it's not good. So anyway, I'm sorry. Tend to be okay. So no, I'm gonna skip that. I'm not gonna worry about too much on that one. Trying to skip that out. It's because I don't want to read, too much on like what's. I don't want to go into like too detail to bore you, but I do want to give out the main points on that stuff. Let me see. Okay. Actually, there's another one for people who like with bulimia nervosa, who have repeated, vomiting stuff. They also have some health effects. For example, they kind of, it damages the teeth and gums because of the acid that's coming out of the stomach, from the digestive. And, they also have other dental problems, like as far as like the teeth, breakdown in enamel and, I guess even loss of teeth. And they can also, because of, the use of laxatives, it can be, they can have kidney disease, heart damage, and other serious medical conditions that it really is pretty serious, that can be fatal. That's something that they can look into, or that they can experience. So, going on to another one. Okay, so binge. Okay, so yeah. So this is the last one, that is in general, before I guess I go over like the causes and all that. So, people with binge eating disorder, they again kind of eat, obviously like the word says itself, they eat so much within a short period of time. However, the difference between binge eating and bulimia is that they don't expel the contents of what they ate. They leave it in there. And that's why, a lot of people with this disorder, they tend to be overweight because they don't expel that out. Or even obese at the most part. So basically, so it's not as popular as, as anorexia or bulimia, but it is still out there. And yeah, I mean, it is another type of eating disorder that can happen from people with that. So to move on to like what causes these types of eating disorders, I'm actually gonna skip all of that. Wow, that is a lot. Hopefully I can. Oh, here it is. Yeah, I don't want to do too much on that. Okay. No, I'm not gonna think about that. Sorry. Okay, so let's start off with this. So basically, kind of like, and it's kind of funny because I mean, these disorders can actually happen from like the childhood experiences, because the way how they were raised and like the eating habits, the size, like I guess from like parenting skills, they can develop, that overeating or that, unhealthy, what is it, like, unhealthy thoughts of themselves, as they're growing up, about themselves, about how they eat, how much they should eat, what they don't eat, and all that stuff. It can cause from the childhood, and that's how, it can be, one cause of it. And then another, so a lot of people who have eating disorders, they typically already have another disorder, which is depression. And and the reason why is because they feel like it's a comfort to them when food, because obviously when you're depressed, you kind of eat, and then so you can develop that eating disorder, because they need some type of comfort. And then another one is, let's skip that. I don't want to do the I want to do like the body, because that's a little bit too specific, and I don't want to do that. So, no. Okay, so then here's another one. I think this is the last one. No, maybe one or two more after this. I think one of the big things is society pressures, and the reason why about that is because, obviously with society, they always tend to, I guess, I mean, what do you see in magazines and billboards and even the TV commercials? You see all those, probably those thin models. Sorry, everyone. Don't mean to eat, but that's why I'm trying. That's why I'm trying to limit it so that I can talk more and not, interrupt too much. But anyway, so basically, how people. So I think because of society, and I think it's more popular, and I think it does say in the book that in the U.S. it's more common because of of society. I mean, again, you see those thin figures, you see those magazine models, those people in the videos. Well, I mean, not videos, commercials and all that stuff. And being a teenager, well, it kind of plays into doing adolescence age and all that stuff, and having all of that, especially already going through a tough time during adolescence. It really is something that it combines, and then it just develops into that as well. But that's another cause, which is being I'm sorry, what was it? It basically contributes to eating disorders from the society, because they want to look thin, in other words, which again it's a bit not necessary, but unfortunately people do experience that. So what's actually here is I mean, I guess this is a quick side note. Now basically, and yeah, this is gonna be, I guess, a side I guess, information. For example, the most common way to lose the food for people's bulimia is vomiting. The second common is diet pills, which I didn't even know it was actually true. I don't know how those work. I'm gonna have to look up on that one sometime. Because I don't know how. I didn't even know those diet pills. I don't know if it's over the counter. You can get those over the counter, or you need a prescription for that. And then third is laxatives, and then diuretics is the last one. I know laxatives you can buy over the counter, and then I'm not sure about diuretics. I could be wrong, but you never know on that one. But yeah, that's kind of like the common ways people, like, from common to least common. And yeah, vomiting does seem to be, which, I mean, it makes sense because you don't need to spend anything and you just do it yourself. But I'm sorry, I get like a little bit chills when just to think how people go through that. I mean, it really is unfortunate, but so going on, I don't think there wasn't anything more on causes. Well, I'm saying a family environment, but it kind of goes like how they do, like childhood. For example, I mean, parents can probably tell kids, you're too thin, you're too, overweight. Basically like negative behaviors, and from there, obviously, it can cause some psychological trauma for a child if they were to repeatedly being told that they're too thin or they're too, overweight. But anyway, yeah, so going back, no, skip that, I already did that. Let's see right here. Multicultural, no, I need that. This is, I mean, I know I should probably just be using the book, but it's because I don't want to, like, always have the head down and, probably not look at you all in some way easier. Okay, so I think this is probably the last section. So how are they treated? So basically, for people who have now, this one is, I guess, sometimes people who don't want to, I guess, contribute to treatment or anything like that, or which is actually considered life-threatening. They, specialists or doctors are meant to do intravenous feedings, which means they forcefully put a patient, an IV, and then they give them, whatever they need, whatever the nutrients they need. I'm not sure it's a medication, I don't know what it is, but that way they can have, some nutrients and to keep them alive. But the problem with that one is that for people who go through that, they probably won't trust the facility or doctors who return it because it's forcefully to them, and in their mind, they're not, they're not they're not compatible with thinking that they're trying to help them. They'll think to themselves that they're hurting them, but it's not true. So basically, another one is so kind of like what they do. Another way to kind of like, I guess, like, I believe it's for anorexia nervosa. They kind of go through like nutrition therapy, and from there they kind of, either, they basically a high calorie diet, and they just eat, again, maybe not overeat, but they do tend to eat, high calorie food, so that way they can gain that, at least some nutrition back from that, at least that way, they always will be, that's why they always try to, so that they can be healthy and all that stuff. But now then, that's where they kind of also develop, that's where they need to also overcome the psychological things with people who go through those high calorie diets. Because yeah, it's they have to overcome the issues to kind of help them be healthy again and all that stuff. And of course, those behavior therapy to kind of, try and understand why they tend to do it, but they, they will correct them in the wrong. At least that way they can understand why they feel like that. And, let's see, yeah, it's just basically like they'll be kind of help something like, okay, they are fine, like they are actually fine, they're not overweight, they are thin and they are healthy, or not healthy at that time, but they don't need to lose more weight than they need to. And of course, there's like family therapy to kind of, combat, the families, what they're talking about. To kind of fix up, their own little issues with that. Now, for people who have anorexia nervosa after treatment, they will generally be fine. They will definitely be back to normal and healthy. Although it does take time because they have to, again, have treatments and all that stuff, and they will need to fight for that back. And while the negative side is about that is because so yeah, basically whoever has that, who have anorexia nervosa, and they'll get treated, and sure, they do get back to the normal weight and all that stuff. However, no, sorry, I'm just trying to check something again real quick. Sorry. No. Okay, I think okay, never mind. Sorry about that, everyone. So yeah, so basically for people with anorexia nervosa, the only negative side from after treatment is that they can go back to that, disorder again. Why? Because of other stress disorders that can be, like, for example, marriage, pregnancy, or moving, any other drastic change in the lives can trigger that disorder again. But yeah, but still they kind of, they tend to be fine in the end, and that's what's good too, if they do commit to full treatment and all that stuff. Now, now for bulimia nervosa, again, it kind of goes back into therapy, where they talk about, because they kind of use the same ways of how they treat people with anorexia nervosa, but they kind of just try to stop, the person from, binge eating and, expelling out the foods, all that stuff. And yeah, other forms of therapy, I'm trying one more. I think there's only one more section. Okay. And then, so basically for people with bulimia nervosa, since they tend to be a little bit more depressed, they do, another way to treat them is with antidepressant medication, so that we kind of help them with the moods, or with the, depression. so that way the thoughts won't get in the way of trying to help themselves, you know, stop doing what they do in terms of binge eating and expelling the food. It does help, although again, that's not always the ideal way, just do it for it by itself. Therapy would be best on top of that if they do need it. Medication is just like a supplement, or like a something to add to help with people with bulimia. So yeah, so people who have bulimia nervosa, they tend to be fine again. Um, yeah, and most likely when they have it, they won't go through it again for the most part. But there's nothing, they tend to live again happy, normal lives, and they stop, binge eating, and they eat normally, and they feel happy about themselves again, and they feel happy, you know. Now, last one with eating disorders, it is a bit of an interesting one. The only way, basically the only way for like binge eating is like to treatment or weight. I think like weight loss. Like weight loss therapy, or even medications at that point, so that way they can not eat. Or maybe find like a different way of coping with that stress. So if they do, so that way they won't be binge eating, and they'll feel a little bit healthier at least from all that. And I think that's about it for this chapter. So yeah, so as you can see, eating disorders is not it's not really particularly fun. Well, obviously it's not fun, but it's a little bit more serious than than what I've talked about in the past. Because we've seen anxiety disorders, stress disorders, but now we're kind of getting into the more physical, life-threatening types of conditions. And yeah, eating disorders is just the very first like more serious mental health disorders that it can really drastically hurt a person's life. Not psychologically, but just physically as well, and that's an alarming thing. But yeah, so that is all I kind of wanted to talk about with eating disorders. Again, I guess one thing I can say is that if for me, everyone's fine the way there is. They really don't need to change. Now, it doesn't hurt to always lose a couple pounds if you are a little bit over the mark, but not that drastic. I mean, in the end, we are the way who we are for a reason, and we shouldn't change that for the way, just for what others think of us, or what we initially should believe in. We shouldn't change that. We are fine the way we are, and that is how we are supposed to be in the end. But yeah, that is eating disorders. Hopefully it did give you an insight on the types, and how it's caused, how it's treated, and hopefully it helps some people out there learning about this in general. But hopefully you all enjoyed it. Next, I don't think I'll be doing an abnormal psychology video next week. And the reason is because this next unit, and I'm calling them units, it's not really units, but this next unit, it's gonna be a little bit more I don't want to put a play in the words, but this is gonna be a little more depressing, because I'm gonna be dealing with depression, bipolar, and suicide, which I think that'll probably be the most serious type of thing that we'll be talking about at the end of the unit, when I'm done through that. However, with depression and bipolar disorders, they are kind of clumped into separate chapters, because one is for the causes and one is for the treatment. So I think the way I'll be doing that one is I'll be just combining it into one episode or one stream. So that way I won't be just doing like the cause and then the treatments, because I don't think that's a little bit right. So I'm going to combine it into one stream. Although that will probably be a little bit of a longer stream, so do keep note on that one. If I'll do it like that. But yeah, so it'll be, again, these next two episodes, it's going to be a little bit more depressing, but bear with me. I mean, again, we kind of have to, go through all of the what is it, mental health disorders, even though it is like something that it's a little bit serious, it's good to have the knowledge to kind of at least know what to see in people, and to see if they are dealing with something that they just that obviously it's not that noticeable. Um, but yeah, I mean, I do look forward to talking about that with y'all. Hopefully, this giving y'all some more insights on depression and even suicide. But yeah, as far as right now, I am done with our normal psychology videos. Um, from now on, we are going to be doing game related streams. So for those of you who have made it to the end, don't worry, we are going to do gaming streams. I might do one tomorrow. If not, the latest Friday, definitely Friday. Because I do have exams. Yeah, because I do have exams. Um, I do have an exam tomorrow, and then I do have one on Friday. So if I do it, if I do a stream on either tomorrow or Friday, it's probably going to be late at night. Um, if not, I will probably just do one on Saturday or Sunday the latest. But again, it just depends on my schedule. But of course, that's why I recommend, if you're interested in knowing when the streams will happen, do follow my social media. Links are in the description. Um, and of course, I always do post updates there, and always, try to keep up to date, in terms of like, new games I get, just like anything that's happening, that I do like posting there before I do make these streams. Um, but yeah, hopefully I'll look forward to it. I'm definitely looking forward to it. Have some fun, play some games, and let's focus on that for a little bit. Why not? I think I've done a little bit too much of these vlog types either way. So I think it's time we do some gaming. And yeah, we'll see what we play. It's gonna be fun. But anyway, if y'all enjoyed it, please do leave a thumbs up. I would appreciate it very much. And hopefully, I'll leave a question again, like I did last time. Well, no, I don't want to. I don't want to say anything about eating as well. So that's a little bit. I mean, it doesn't really apply to everyone, but no, I really don't have a question. I mean, I guess just let me know, guys, in the comments if you enjoy these abnormal psychology streams. I certainly do like it, because it does give me, at least, I guess, a chance to kind of like apply what I know. At least from looking at briefly my book to with you all. And also just sharing with you all, what my thoughts are a little bit, and why, I guess, raise some type of awareness within the mental health community, because it really is, these things are a little bit serious that really should be more noticeable nowadays. But yeah, so hopefully y'all enjoyed it, and again, leave a like if you like, and to see my future live streams, do click that subscribe button. I hope y'all will enjoy it. You continue? Will stick with my journey, and I do look forward to making more streams with you all. But for now, that's about it, and I will see you all. Well, I can't say Thursday or Friday or Saturday, but I'll see you definitely next time. Bye, guys.